Recording. Hello, everyone. So today was the last day to gather the list of mentors, which is very exciting. We should be starting to gather our list of mentees now. So I believe this is the main thing we're going to talk about today. I'm going to share a link to the documentation in the chat. Okay, so I've shared the list of our current mentors. We have a total of 8 mentors, which I believe is good enough to get started for this cohort. I remember we did reach out to the TSC and the Comcom. Tracy, do you have any input about, did we get any replies from them, or the sheet is updated?
The sheet's updated and we got a few. I'll double check if we have any more. But yeah. Let me get, Sophie's not on this meeting right now. She usually has it. So, but nothing new. There weren't any new ones.
Okay.
From last time, yeah.
Okay, so I believe we should be contacting them to ask them about their time zone and the scope they're interested in mentoring on, or the list of our current mentors. This way we can create the mentees sheet and announce it.
Can you remind me again really quickly? So Ahmed, I should be introducing them to you, right? Like I should just do an email introduction to you, right?
I guess it's a good idea to invite them to the next meeting. I believe not everyone will be able to make it, so yeah, email is fine as well.
Okay, sounds good. We'll do that as a next step.
Okay, but at the moment we don't have the list of emails for the mentors. Maybe we should add a column to. Do you have the emails of all the mentors?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this document right here. Well, I don't have a list of all of them, but I have the ones that I talked about specifically.
Okay, so we want to have like the document that I've shared in the chat as the source of truth for all the list of mentors. So maybe it's a good idea to add their emails here. So this way we can know which emails are missing and fill them out.
It looks like most of them are Benjamin, so Benjamin should probably add the emails.
Yeah, he just went to the mentorship meeting, so I'll ask them on Slack to submit them asynchronously.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so given the current state of things, we have the list of mentors ready, a list of 8 people, which is really, really good. So Tracy, you will be contacting them as soon as you have the emails. And after that, when do you think is a good time?
Okay. So you want us to actually contact them and ask them about when is good? Is that what you want?
So I was thinking to get their time zone, and if they're available in the next, we're going to agree on a time now when we're going to start the program, because at the moment we have a huge list of mentees, so I think we're flexible in when we want to start. And It's a good idea. As I said, I think it's a good idea to invite them to the next meeting. This way we can get their input and any ideas that they have.
So it's number one is, well, so number one is finding everyone that said yes outside of this list and adding in email addresses. The second thing is asking, are you having, so I mean, everybody has different owners, right? So like Benjamin has an owner. I think you have a few owners of these things. Are we just individually emailing those people and saying, hey, let's, like, you know, are you free to come to this meeting? And saying, hey, here's the next mentorship meeting, or are we going to schedule a separate kickoff meeting, or?
I'm not sure it's a good idea to take input from the team, but I think it's a good idea to just have email them like in one email, asking them if they're free, like if they're still committed to the program, which I believe they are because we've recently contacted them. And also we need to have their time zone, the scope they're in, or we can just have that in the meeting. David, what do you think?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I mean, as far as the mentors are concerned, I don't know how much we need to, well, look, it depends what we've decided. I really want to shift a lot of the work to the mentees because we have a lot of mentees, and that's really the part that we need to filter. And so, you know, I kind of want to limit the amount of work that we put on the mentors. So I do want to keep them engaged, but on the other hand, I do want to be respectful of their time and not really put much more on them. So again, it depends what we agree on. In my head, I think the best way forward is to now go through our mentees and collect a lot more information. So for the mentees, particularly what their availability is, their goals, their interests, you know, things like that. Yeah, last time though, we were talking about, I guess maybe having the list of the mentors and then having mentees effectively like apply to particular mentors. I don't know if we came to a decision on that one though, which is, and that approach is a little bit different than like having a bunch of the mentees filtered down with lots of information and then letting the mentors decide who they want. I guess the two are related. Anyways, I would wrap this up, and
I think we should probably let the mentors pick instead of the mentees, because the mentees might be like, oh, I really want this person, right? But I think that the mentors actually want to pick. Maybe we should
totally. Yeah, totally. I think what we were talking about last week was letting the mentees kind of do a, like, who are their top 3 mentors, or like rank them, and then let the mentors choose from like that list. It obviously breaks down if we have mentors that don't get chosen, but I don't know if that would happen.
Yeah, as far as I remember, this is what we agreed on, like to have the mentees apply to the top 3 mentors that they're interested in getting mentored in the scopes that they mentor at. And this way we have the mentors choose from the list, and we can have some pre-filtering from our side as well before we send them the list.
But yes, you're totally right. The idea is that the mentors are choosing ultimately. A lot of the like almost all of the mentees are not going to wind up with a mentor, pretty much all but 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess this is a good idea.
So like, who's doing all the facilitation of like emailing everybody and all that?
I don't mind to send the emails myself, but I thought it's a good idea to have you, Tracy, actually send the emails.
I think you guys should probably do it. Just because we don't want to like completely take over the initiative, right?
Okay.
We're just supposed to be helping. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, no worries.
And in terms, yeah, and in terms of the numbers and specifically which emails, I mean, I think to the men, I don't know how many will go to the mentees. I think that's something that we should outline. I think one of them is going to be another link to a Google form or something like that. That's requesting more information. We do have to come up with what those additional questions are. So that'll be things like, what is your availability? I can share what the JSLA one is like. It's not perfect, but it does work. It's kind of like this grid of checkboxes of what, you know, your weekly availability is. Then of course we'll also want to do the thing where, all right, here are the available mentors, you know, who's most interesting to you. Then probably some text boxes, which are effectively like why, and that's going to be the criteria that the mentors are going to be selecting the mentees. And then I'm trying to think of like what else.
So we already have this one. Let me share it in the chat. So it's in the mentorship repo, the application form. So if you go to the mentees form, this is what we have for the mentees. I think it's good to have like consensus if this is what we need. We agreed to add on it the list of mentors so they can choose their top 3. I don't think the time zone is relevant. First, can you see the markdown file?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah, so we have the name, the email, time zone, start date, the skill level in Node, language preference, English or any other language, initial goals, commitment, how much time they are committed to the program, like approximation, 3 hours per week, something like that, and a checkbox for the terms and code of conduct with a link to the code of conduct. So I think the time zone is not relevant anymore because they will be choosing their mentors. So they should choose mentors with the relevant time zone, and we should supply the time zone of each mentor. I'm not sure if the planned start date is relevant as well because we will have a preset, like a predefined start date. I think it makes things much easier. What do you think?
So on the subject of time zone, I mean, I think time zone is way too coarse. I think what we're going to want is the mentees to commit to particular, let's see, I can't do things at the same time, but I will, let me add the JSLA one where we have the mentees very explicitly commit to particular times of the day. Like, so it would be something along the lines of, I am available every week, you know, from 4 to 6 p.m. UTC on Thursdays. And then once we have those, we can get that like from the mentors to see, all right, mentors, like when do you actually want to commit to doing, like, I don't want the mentors to really have to think about scheduling. So it's kind of like, all right, mentors, like when do you really want to do this? Like, when are you actually really available? And that'll be one of the things that we can filter pretty quickly on. So, you know, if we know, you know, Ben is only really available on Saturdays from, you know, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific time, we know that any mentee that is not available in that range is just ineligible because his time is like, there's no getting around that, you know?
Okay. Do you think we should list the time zones of every, like the availability of every mentor in the mentors list for the mentees?
We can. I guess I'd be curious what other people think. There's a part of me that thinks that the mentee should just be honest rather than them targeting a particular mentor, but maybe that's unrealistic. Maybe if there is a particular mentor they want, then they would be capable of moving things around to match. But I don't know, there's a part of me that really thinks that we just want to ask the mentees, like, hey, when are you available? You know?
Yeah.
And then
well, personally, I think that we shouldn't give the privileges to mentees, speaking mentors. More like we should have like focus areas of each mentor. Then the mentor having its availability, saying, okay, I can take 5 mentees or 10 mentees, so case may be. And if the mentee is interested in a particular focus area, then from the list of like the application of mentees, we can screen 4 or 5 possible best mentees to suit in that particular focus area. But giving them the privilege of saying, okay, you can pick a mentor from wherever you want. Just at the end of the day, most people won't be so interested in some working groups based on all the working groups seems too difficult to be part of. In as much as want people to have the liberty to pick where they want to be, we should also have a way around showing them that it's not being overwhelmed by a working group or being overwhelmed by a particular project doesn't make you not qualified to be there. Because I've discussed with so many developers, and from the community point of view, it's most times they are not like they are qualified to work in a particular working group, but they are too scared to be part of the working group. But if we have a way around, okay, how can we drive everybody towards working groups that needs more collaborators and more contributors, then we have a pass on that. But giving people the privilege to say, okay, I want this particular mentor, you might be overworking a mentor that doesn't have the availability to take that amount of mentees. That's my point.
Okay, so you're suggesting that we prioritize the availability of the mentees and mentors over
And working groups that need more contributors or collaborators at this time. That should be more of our focus as the mentorship program scales on.
Yeah. So how about this? We can do the following. We have we provide them the list of the mentors, and also we provide we have a text field saying when they're available, like a time commitment. Let's say between 6 and 10 p.m. or something, and this way we can match based on the mentors
Time
they
zone.
choose and their time zones.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Awesome.
What did you say? Whose availability would we be collecting?
So, and the
I didn't get you.
Go ahead.
I didn't get him. I think he repeats himself.
I'm having trouble hearing Aguirre. It's kind of quiet.
I didn't hear you. Just repeat yourself. Sorry.
Okay. So I was thinking in the mentees form, we just provide the list of mentors and ask them for their availability, their time commitment. For the mentors, we will gather their scope and their time availability. So when we want to provide the mentors the list of mentees that apply to these scopes, we filter the time, like people who don't have matching time commitment.
Yeah.
Okay. It seems like it might be a lot of overhead to try to match. Well, maybe not. It just feels like it's going to be hard for people to say list all of their availability without some kind of separate application or something for that.
Yeah, we should. I mean, one thing we can obviously use is we can use those Calendly things, but at the same time, maybe we should just say, like, for example, somebody in Eastern, just be like, hey, are you available at 10 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Eastern, or 3 p.m. Eastern? Which one works better for you? Right? Otherwise, it's like, well, I'm available anytime. Well,
Right.
that's for you. And, you just get into this big thing. So have them pick 3 times and then just have it be done,
Yeah, I was thinking something like that, or either only collecting availability from the mentors and then show those publicly and let people say which mentors they could work with based on their availability.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like Trace's suggestions of using calendar words. This stuff is really cool. It's at least the mentors can fill in the available time, then mentees can visit and see, okay, these are the available times that I can work with you, stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree as well. It's a good idea to have checkboxes, and they can check like the time ranges they're available at. Maybe they can check them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so David shared in the chat a list of the form for JSLA. Oh, so I like this. They have a table instead of a checkbox in the form to check the days and the times. David, how did you filter based on this calendar thing?
We put a lot of weight on our mentors. We gave the mentors the full list, and we said, choose who you want, and then reach out. So it worked a little bit different.
I think it works to do the same as well.
Okay.
We don't have to do the filtering ourselves. We can just provide the list of mentors, and we just filter based on skills, maybe, or representation.
Yeah. So our mentors, I think the last round was 3-to-1. We had 3 mentees per mentor. And so we just gave the full list of mentees to the mentors and let them reach out. And we did a little bit of facilitating, kind of nudging our more experienced mentors to target the more experienced mentees. But ultimately, I don't think that was necessary, but it was a little bit of a, kind of a MapReduce thing where, hey, mentors, here are the available mentees. Who do you want? Like, who's appealing?
I do think we'll need to do some level of filtering before we hand off to the mentors, because it's such a large list, and we indicated it would only be like 8 total hours of, commitment on their end. So if we give them a list of 1,000 people to look through, it's not really going to fit with that commitment we told them.
Well, I think one of the things is, do we even know what the mentors want to mentor on, right? Like, for example, like we have an apprentice program, and the first thing the mentor asks is, okay, who are these people? What skills do they have, right? And then what do they want? So, it'd be really interesting to know, like, I'm going to give you really random examples, right? But like, okay, well, this person has a lot of experience in testing. Oh, okay, this person has a lot of experience in, design interfaces, or this person has a lot of experience in X. Because unless the unless the mentor knows what the mentee is good at, then they can't really filter anything, right, to make them actually effective. Like, if you're going to pair somebody, let's say, with Michael Dawson, and he's doing, okay, totally random, but like, if Michael Dawson's like, oh, I really want to mentor somebody on module stuff, and then he gets somebody, and this person like only is like a designer, right? That's a very bad pairing. So
no, I get what you're saying.
Somebody there.
So, kind of along the lines of what she's saying, it might be good for us to talk to the mentors now that we know who they are, and get their input on what kind of things they would use to filter out the list, and then make sure we have that information in like a quantifiable way on the form so that they can easily filter it.
I would probably ask them both at the same time, because I know a lot of the mentors are going to be like, well, what do you want me to mentor on? You know, and if they have some profiles, they can actually look at those mentees and say, oh, wow, I could really help somebody with X.
Yeah, I think that was really what I was worried about, is approaching the mentors and getting them to be specific. I feel like puts a little bit more weight on them, whereas giving them this catalog of like, okay, who looks interesting to you, kind of lets them do that selection thing. But I agree, we do have way too many mentees to just give them the whole fire hose.
Right. I was kind of just saying, like, we could ask them, what kinds of things would you like to know about the mentees, so that we can make sure we collect that information to make their filtering easier.
Right, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so
we might want to create some sort of form for the mentees. And actually, we might want to just do this ongoing anytime anybody requests, right? But like, what are you interested in? What's your background? You know, might not even just be what they're interested in, but like, what's your background?
Right. And we've got a couple of fields like that now. The only problem is they're completely free form right now. So that ends up with us having to read through over 1,000, paragraphs about people. So, which is still good. I want that information there, but I think we also need some checkbox type stuff that we can filter more easily without having to read through them all.
I think it's good to like take the input of the mentors. This way, like we don't have to do all this brainstorming. Also, we can add fields related, like how good are you with this certain scope that you're applying for. So when we're gonna provide the list of like the mentees form, we're gonna provide the list of mentors, so we already know what scopes we're gonna be mentoring in this cohort. So we can tailor the questions based on the mentors that we currently have. So let's say we have someone in diagnostics, we can ask, how well do you know diagnostics? Like not at all, or I've done diagnostics in Node.js before, something like that.
It's a good point.
Okay, so I guess the next step is to, as Tracy said, we need to collect the emails, and I'll be sending the emails to the mentors. I'll ask them to join us in the next meeting, and I'll ask them to join, and I'll say like what we're gonna discuss in the next meeting, which is basically what they want to ask mentors to help them choose. We can also ask them for their scope, and there's no need for the time commitment with the current things that we just discussed, because we're gonna have them choose. So we don't need to know their time commitment, I guess. What do you think?
That all sounds good to me.
Okay, sounds good. Does anyone have anything else?
Nope.
I did earlier. Oh, the mentor form. Should we just go ahead and remove the ones now that we know the ones we're keeping? Should we remove the ones that aren't going to be joining it? So keep it cleaner for the email, so we know which ones will need email addresses and whatnot.
Yeah, we should also remove the mentees form as well, because I've got some emails people are applying to the mentees form, and we're not checking this form anymore. Can you take it as an action item, AJ?
What was that? Which one specifically?
Removing the forms from the mentorship repo.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. What I was actually talking about was the Google Doc, where we're keeping track of the potential mentors.
Oh, okay.
We remove the ones that are not going to be mentors, so that we have just a list of the ones that are mentoring.
Yeah, that's a good idea as well.
Okay. Yeah, I can do both of those then.
Okay, thank you. So I guess that's it. Thanks, everyone.
All right, awesome. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.